couple of weeks ago, some of the people at GoodNotes gave me the chance to go to New York City. It was to attend this showcase where they were talking about the iPad, the Apple Pencil, GoodNotes, and some other apps. And it was very last minute, and I remember them reaching out to me. They were like, "Hey Samuel, are you up for a spontaneous trip?" And without hesitation, I was like, "Yes, please." And I literally booked the ticket the night before, and 10 hours later, I was on a flight to the United States, dismissing calendar invites of meetings I was meant to be in. And I just felt so excited. Like, even though there was a 15-hour flight from Sydney to Los Angeles and then a 6-hour flight from Los Angeles to New York, I felt like a kid again. New York's on the other side of the world to Sydney, Australia, and I was just super keen to explore a new city and be somewhere different.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
Good morning.
I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in a city that doesn't sleep and find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap. These little town
It's been a couple weeks since I've been back, and I was only there for around 4 days, but I can say that the trip surprised me, but in a very unusual way. Most of my first proper day in New York was attending the showcase, learning more about GoodNotes, the app, and other apps that are currently being developed for the iPad with Apple Pencil. And I also really enjoyed the process of meeting people that I'd only ever met on email and talk about the change we're trying to create in the world with learning, education, and how technology plays a part in that. But after all that, I basically had 2 days to explore the whole city, and I tried to make the most of that. New York was everything that I expected it to be, and so much more. New York felt like a movie. And I say that because New York quite literally is in so many movies that I watched growing up and even recently. And whether it be Spider-Man, The Godfather, Joker, Taxi Driver, Stuart Little, and a list that could just honestly go on and on, there is this strange sense of familiarity you feel as you walk through the streets of New York. And it's because you've seen so much of it represented in videos, films, social media before. You've got the cityscape of New York by day, and although it may look like a concrete jungle from up high, when you're in it, it's actually incredibly colorful and diverse. You've got the Empire State Building. You've got Wall Street, which was actually surprisingly smaller than I envisioned. And you've also got Central Park, which was surprisingly bigger than I ever imagined. Apparently, it's 850 acres. You've got the iconic subway, which to me just brought back memories of scenes from the film Joker. You've got the Statue of Liberty, even though I only saw that from a distance. And then you've got Times Square. Times Square by day, looking like a scene out of Spider-Man. Or even better, Times Square by night, where the lights shine bright and illuminate parts of the city. And that's just the place. You know, it is fascinating to observe the people, the culture, the subcultures, the way people interact, the normality of leaving a tip regardless of the quality of the service. But I think the part of New York that surprised me the most was how within meters of each other, you would see two different versions of the city. So for example, you may have Wall Street over here with people wearing business attire and holding their briefcases. And then 150 meters over there, you would have a whole lot of people living in poverty, homelessness, showcasing the inequality of the city. And it wasn't just in one or two places, it was an image that just kept recurring in front of me as I explored more and more of the city. And it's interesting because I think that aspect of the city took the projection of New York that I had in my mind from the movies and sort of broke it down a little and made me curious about like what's actually going on here. And I remember one day I came across this man who was homeless and he was in Times Square, and he was trying to make a little bit of money. And what he was doing was he would paint himself in gold, and he would stand in the middle of the street, and then crowds of people would gather around to take pictures of what seemed to be a living golden statue. And on this particular evening, he got quite upset and frustrated with the crowd. And the source of this frustration was because everyone in the crowd was taking pictures of him, but no one was actually giving him any money. And I remember him storming off in frustration. And I didn't think too much of it in the moment, but I remembered it as it was one of the few unpleasant experiences that I witnessed in my time there. And I remember talking to someone about it on the way back. I think she was a teacher who had been teaching for 18 years, and she happened to be sitting next to me on one of my flights. And I was trying to, well, sort of present a solution to this guy's frustration. And I remember saying things like, this guy is frustrated at the world for not giving him money, but he's actually not put any effort in to communicate to his audience that he wants money. And all he honestly needs to do is make a poster that communicates that you can take a picture with me if you pay X amount of dollars. And then to set a price, he can be strategic and do a bit of reading on how to price things, and then find a way to strategically monetize his audience and the demand that he clearly has. And then the teacher that I was sitting next to on the flight stopped me, and she was like, I understand where you're coming from and your point of view, but you're making a lot of assumptions about where this guy is at. And she was like, you may not realize it, but a lot of people in his situation don't even know the basics of how to read or write. They lack basic literacy. And so even if you gave them all the information in the world that would help them solve their problem to read through, they wouldn't be able to utilize it. And she went on to describe basically how everything that I was describing wasn't actually helping the situation. And it was one of those moments where I was like, wow, I am incredibly ignorant. You see, we don't realize how powerful it is to just be able to read, for example. Because if you can read, you have access to all the information in the world. You are connected to the minds of brilliant people and smart people who have come before you and left behind their thinking in writing. When you have a problem, you can go to Google, search it up, you can read sources, and you can gain the information that you need. It is such a powerful tool. It connects you to other people, it connects you to the past, and it expands your thinking beyond just the thoughts in your head. And then if you can write, you can take the thoughts in your head as they are being informed and then express them and then iron them out and then sharpen them and become more precise in your thinking. And then when you speak, from a place of being informed because you have done your reading and you have thought through writing, you are incredibly powerful. Whether you are a teacher teaching, whether you're making a pitch, whether you're giving someone feedback, whether that be in a workplace or any other context, basic literacy opens up so much possibility for you. And it makes you powerful in the world. I speak about this idea of owning your learning and taking responsibility for your learning. But that whole idea assumes that you have been given the gift of an education. And it's a really weird thing for me to admit, because going through school and having to learn how to spell, being critiqued on my phrases, my sentence structure, how I put together an essay, I never really enjoyed that. That wasn't what made me look forward to school. It's only when you see the absence of that you truly realize its value. But it's only when you see the impact of the absence of that basic literacy on people and how it affects how they are in the world do you truly value what it brings. And so of all the glamour that I think New York presented me with, I think it was more of the darker parts of the city that got me to think and made me curious and realize new things. And I guess what I'm trying to say, just to conclude the video, is as underwhelming as our educational experiences may have been in the worst of moments. For those of us who have been given the chance to have an education and to, gain basic literacy, just realize that that is an incredible privilege and a gift, and something we should all be grateful for. And always keep in mind, there is a significant number of people in the world who haven't been afforded that gift. And that's something that deserves its own conversation altogether. But yeah, for those of us who have been given the gift, there is only one question to ask. What are you going to do with it?
There's always something around the corner, something more to be found. And I'm sure the coasts of California are beautiful right now. And New York sky shines so bright, but to tell you the truth, honey, I just wanna call home to you. Honey, I just wanna call home to you. Honey, I just want